Good evening, everybody. Uh, DB is muted.
I'm
Okay,
going
there
to
we go.
blame I'm going to blame that trailer.
Oh, yeah, it must have messed it up somehow. Sorry about that. All right. Okay, let's try this again. Good evening, everybody.
Hello, hello.
Welcome to another episode of Critique Corner with me, Daniel Parker.
And me, DB Fastbinder. And as always, we have our variety of media that we've consumed this week. And I think there is not a single one of them that remotely resembles the other.
No, I don't think so either. Well, we do have like two comedies, but they're very different comedies. But yeah, if you are returning, welcome back. If you're new, what we do is we critique stuff from our corners, and we try to do we're doing a wide variety of stuff. That we're just anything that catches our attention, we'll review it. And I think
There is no structure. There is no, oh, we have to review new crap too. No,
okay,
if it looks interesting, we're reviewing it. If it doesn't, we just reject it.
right, yes. Um, and I think going forward this month, we're probably going to be doing free, looking at all the different free streaming platforms to see what's on there. Like Tubi and places like that.
YouTube movies, Pluto,
Yeah,
just as a public service to show off what you don't need a subscription to watch.
right. Yes, and for those of you who have never been on Tubi, there's some weird stuff on there.
Yeah, I took a look at their anime section on a whim, and the way I would put it is it's all ADV's catalog from the before they went bankrupt that nobody at Netflix would bother to pay for.
Yeah,
Or Crunchyroll for that matter. Then you had some like 80s OVAs, which I guess was still part of the ADV 2000s library before they went under. Then they had of all thing that deer anime, the Shikanoko one.
okay. Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
So it was all old, weird, or memes.
Yeah. But yeah, but to start off our review this week, we are talking about Scary Movie, the first Scary Movie.
Yes. And we definitely picked this out to coincide with the drop of the Scary Movie 6 trailer that we absolutely knew was happening.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. We totally planned it out. Yeah.
Not a weird coincidence.
No. But yes, this was actually my first time watching this one.
Me too.
Yeah, and I think both of us, it was true. The only one of these movies, and the only movie from this franchise we'd seen was Scary Movie 3, and we both actually saw that in the theater.
Man, of all the coincidences out there, that's a weird one.
Yeah, and actually, I actually kind of have a funny story about why I went and saw Scary Movie 3. Just real quick. What actually happened was me and two of my friends. One of my friends, he got he had a preview pass to see the third Matrix movie.
Okay.
And he thought he was going to be really clever and try to copy it, make scan it and try to copy it and try to get me and our other friend in there. It didn't work, obviously, so we ended up going to see Scary Movie 3. But yeah, so this movie is the quintessential horror movie parody comedy from the Wayans brothers, and it's directed by Keenan Ivory Wayans, who I think he's the oldest one, if I'm not mistaken. It's either him or Damon. And then you had, of course, the other ones, Marlon Wayans and Shawn Wayans. Shawn Wayans is the stoner character, which like all the characters in this movie they're the tropes of horror movie, slasher characters,
especially late 90s, because this is So it's like a mix of I Know What You Did Last Summer and Scream
Right.
in terms of the
Which
actors
is
ripping off.
yeah. Scream. It's definitely more Scream. Yeah. Which is
Now,
funny. Which is funny because Scream itself is kind of they kind of had this whole meta thing with those movies where they were, you know, kind of parodying horror movies, but not really.
see, that was my understanding, and I just thought to myself, that is kind of ballsy to try to parody a parody.
Yeah. Um, but yeah. Oh, by the way, they so that scene at the end when they mention the sequel to I Know What You Did Last Summer, and they talk
Yeah.
about the fat white Jamaican guy. Oh man, yeah, I really wanted to kill him. You know who played the fat white Jamaican guy in that movie?
Hmm.
Jack Black.
Wait. There's a movie out there where Jack Black is doing what I'm assuming is an awful Jamaican accent.
Pretty much, yeah. or I don't know if he did a Jamaican. I can't remember if he did a Jamaican accent or he just had that Rastafarian look.
Either way, that
But
sounds delightfully cringe.
it was, yeah. That movie was really bad. But and it's no wonder that they didn't do any sequels after that. But yeah, so this movie is it's parodying all the horror movie tropes along with there are some other movies that got parodied in there too.
Right, like the one scene with where they were running through the woods in Blair Witch Project, and like the girl is like has a little snot coming out her nose.
Snot coming out her nose. Yeah. But yeah, so the basic plot of the movie, if you could call it a plot, is
It's definitely in the airplane school of actually no, it's more the police squad's rule of we have a vague plot which is an excuse to just make fun of things.
right. Yeah. The movie opens up with basically a direct parody from the opening of Scream, where Drew Barrymore's character gets killed by Ghostface. Only in this movie, it's Carmen Electra, and there's some self-deprecating moments with her. Like look out the window, like and he's like, what? I got your boyfriend out here. I don't have a boyfriend. Well, the effeminate looking black guy who likes to wear women's clothing, and it's some guy pretending to be Prince. And she's like, she's not my boyfriend. I screwed him a few times, but
Yeah, okay. Like what immediately hit me was, oh, okay, so this movie has like balls and isn't afraid of offending people.
Right. Yeah. Oh no. Yeah. This is another movie we could add to our list of you can't make this movie today. Although Scary Movie 6, maybe they are making that movie today. I don't know. Maybe they already did. But yeah, so Carmen Electra's character gets killed, and then she and of course everybody's like, oh, there's a murder in here. Then we meet our other cast of characters. You got our main character, Cindy Campbell, who is played by Anna Faris.
Who Anna Faris is always like, she's always game for this sort of dumb comedy.
Oh yeah. Well, just a quick side note, she used to be married to Chris Pratt.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, and they had a kid together too. But she's always up for these like goofy comedy stuff. Like oh god, what was the one with Rob Schneider where he switched bodies with Rachel McAdams? The hot chick.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she was in that one. Anna Faris was, and then you also had you've also got, although what's funny is like the names of the characters are all taken from like different horror stuff, like so like Anna Faris's character, her last name's Campbell, and I think she's supposed to be a parody of Nev Campbell's character from Scream. And then you had like you had what was Shannon Elizabeth's character. Now, for those of you who don't know, Shannon Elizabeth, she was in the American Pie movies. I trying to remember the name of her character. It was like Buffy, I think. I think her name was Buffy, and I think she was a parody. They were parodying Sarah Michelle Gellar's character from I Know What You Did Last Summer with her. So I think that's where so they're making that connection there. But yeah, and and then you had Marlon Wayans, who's the stoner character, and then you got the one guy from Night at the Roxbury, who's like the boyfriend of Shannon Elizabeth's character.
John Abrahams.
No, I think John Abrahams is he's
he's Bobby. That's right.
He's Bobby. He's Anna Faris's boyfriend. And then Locknell Monroe is the guy who I was thinking of. And then what was it against? Oh yeah, Regina Hall is Brenda. She's the one who, like, I've seen that clip of her in the movie theater, like on like different YouTube channels and
right, where she's like playing into the black stereotype about black people talking during movies.
Yeah,
she's like being like more and more elaborate with how she's interrupting the movie.
Yeah. Like she's got this huge, like this whole chicken dinner with her, and
yeah.
But yeah, so basically, where the parody of "I Know What You Did Last Summer" comes from is they basically parodied that whole thing where the teens, they run over a guy, and they're like, "Oh no, what do we do?" And then they dump him in the water. But of course, the guy isn't really dead, but then he does get killed, and
yeah. Yeah, and I'll say that as somebody who doesn't really watch horror movies, I could still basically get the tropes they were parodying.
Yeah, because most slasher movie tropes are pretty well known at this point. Like the dumb blonde with the big boobs who always gets killed, or the virgin girl. The virgin girl always has to survive at the end of the movie,
right? Where her slutty friends are picked off one by one.
Right.
Although I would say in the case of Buffy Gilmore, she kind of she was kind of begging for it to happen.
Oh, yeah.
In that whole scene, like all of these death scenes are like, they do a great job with the comedy of it. I would say that they're very much in the style at the time. Like, I could see Family Guy in its classic years making a lot of these jokes.
Oh yeah.
Also, I wasn't expecting to see quite so many phalluses in this movie.
Yeah, that was pretty shocking too. I'm surprised they were able to get an R rating.
Yeah, especially the glory hole scene where it just.
Oh yeah. Oh man. Oh. Right through the ears.
Yeah. I will say that just based on its reputation, the whole time I'm watching this, I'm thinking to myself, I remember this one like Simpsons book that Homer was reading. Am I disabled? Just like, because like this is all very silly comedy and like not especially smart parody, but it's just the timing and framing of it is just right to catch you off guard.
Oh yeah. And I will say too, they actually do work in a pretty decent twist.
Yeah, I will say I was kind of wondering about that twist from like a half hour from the end on.
Yeah. Well, and the twist is actually a parody of The Usual Suspects.
Okay.
Yeah, when they finally figure out who Kaiser Soze really is. I won't spoil it for anybody out there who hasn't seen The Usual Suspects, but yeah. But yeah, I mean, this was given the state of comedy in the 2020s, seeing something like this is a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, and it does kind of make me a little happy that they're bringing it back for 2026.
Yeah.
Now, I know that the middle movies, I think it got taken away from the Wayans. It was like Seltzer and Freeberg, or did they just like crib on their style to make like the pirate movie or whatever?
I actually I thought it was the what is it was the Naked Gun guys, right? The in
Was
Airplane.
it?
Yeah, I thought they took it over because I remember Leslie Nielsen was in the third one.
Hmm.
And Leslie Nielsen's always in all their movies.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I just know that they definitely lost their way, and then
Yeah.
Seltzer and Freeberg basically drove that whole genre into the ground with their really like there is a
Uh,
way to do parodies of multiple movies in the same movie, and they did not do it properly.
yeah, they were doing like superhero movie and vampire
Which
movie and
superhero movie was the best of those movies that they did.
uh
Like there's actually a few funny scenes in that one, and Leslie Nielsen was in it.
yeah.
But like you have things like Meet the Spartans, where they like mashed up 300 with Meet the Titans or Remember the Titans or whatever. It was like that plus some of those dance movies or whatever. I don't
Oh
remember
yeah.
it well, but I remember it being like very awful.
Yeah, it's kind of like what happened with National Lampoon. Like when the National Lampoon got bought out and they started releasing all these just god awful movies with the National Lampoon name in them. It's like it's not really
Right.
National Lampoon. It's just
It's a
you know,
skin suit.
yeah, yeah,
But it does sound like the Wayans are back for this one, so
yeah,
you know, if they can bring back the like, it's not exactly a lofty goal, but if they can just be funny and make it so that you don't have to have watched every horror movie to understand what's going on, then you're in business.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
like I would expect some jokes about, say, Five Nights at Freddy's and the
yeah.
various Blumhouse movies.
Yeah, I think I saw Megan in there.
Oh yeah, that
The
makes sense.
robot doll. Yeah, maybe probably Annabelle and like The Conjuring will probably get parodied in there too.
Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, this is on Paramount Plus.
Was it on Paramount Plus or was it on Netflix?
Paramount
Oh, that's
Plus.
right. That's right.
Yeah.
It was on Paramount. We were going through Paramount Plus to see what we could find there, and then because I personally didn't have anything nice or even mean to say about The Saint, we switched over to a Netflix movie for our last one.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
But
And yeah, I will admit it's been a while since I saw The Saint. I don't remember it very well. I remember the only thing I remember about that movie was Val Kilmer playing different people or impersonating different people.
yeah, that was probably the most interesting part of it. It was just very full of itself.
Sort of.
Clearly,
Yeah. Yeah.
go ahead.
Sorry. Go ahead. No.
No, if you have a thought, I'm about to transition. So,
Oh, okay. Well, it was kind of like Hitman with Glenn Powell.
mm,
Very similar thing where it's
it
like
did,
Glenn Powell doing all the Hitman personas. That was the best part of it, and then the rest of it was like, ugh.
yeah, yeah. I mean, and I kind of sent that message to Daniel in the middle of the night, which I'm in a very different time zone, so it's a little bit unfair. I guess I need some better night management,
Yeah. Yes.
which, if that seems like a stretch, like I said, none of these things have anything to do with each other, so the transitions are going to be rough. I'm sorry, folks.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, this series is nothing like our previous review or any of the other reviews that we're doing. Um, yeah, so I finally got around to watching season 2 of The Night Manager, which I was a little surprised that they did another season of it because I think it's been like 10 years since the first season dropped.
Really?
Yeah, 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 I think it was like 2016, 2017, somewhere around there. Um, but because the show takes place 10 years after the first season, so that's why I kind of have that in my head. But yeah, I'll give like a brief overview of the first season because it does tie into this season. So Tom Hiddleston plays Jonathan Pine, who is a Iraq War veteran, and he becomes a hotelier. And the show starts off where he's working at a 5-star hotel in Cairo, and it's this particular episode was set during the Arab Spring, and he gets
Oh,
uh, yeah, he gets word that a bad guy, Terry, is buying a bunch of weapons from a British arms dealer named Richard Roper, who is played by Hugh Laurie, and he tries to stop it, but fails. And the mistress of the Terry, he gets romantically involved with the mistress of the bad guy of the Terry, and she gets killed. And so he leaves. Of course, obviously he leaves that job in Cairo, and then he's in the Swiss Alps working as working as a night manager at this resort in the Swiss Alps. And that's when Richard Roper shows up at the hotel. And so from there, Jonathan starts working with this MI6 agent named Angela Bennett, I think was her name. Birgit Bennett, I think. She was played by Olivia Colman, who's, she's been in like a whole bunch of movies and TV shows over the years in Britain and everything. She actually played Queen Elizabeth in her middle years on The Crown, which is on Netflix. But he starts working with her. He infiltrates Roper's organization, and at the end of the season, it looks like they actually did get Roper by basically screwing over this deal that he had, and he gets taken away by a bunch of Syrians when the arms that he was selling to them blew up. Jonathan blew it up, and so the Syrians were out of their $300 million, which they managed to transfer the $300 million out of his account into another account. So that's where this season 1 ends. And then season 2, in the first episode, it takes place 4 years after that. And Jonathan and Angela are in Syria because Roper is dead. He was executed by his captors, and they're there in Syria to identify the body and make sure that he is dead. And of course, they only let one of them in there, and Jonathan tells Angela, well, you go in there and identify him. And she says, oh yeah, it's him. And so then we pick up 6 years after that. Jonathan is working, he's still working for MI6, but he's working under an alias. And his boss at MI6 is a guy named his name was Rex Mayhew, and he was in the first season. He worked with Angela, and he's the only one in the agency who knows who he really is. And so Jonathan is leading a team, surveillance team called Night Owls, and they're basically they sit in front of a computer looking at screens like you and me are right now, DB. And watching surveillance video of people coming in and out of a hotel, to say, okay, well, who's this guy? Who's that guy? Why are they there? And during one of these surveillance outings that Jonathan sees a guy who he recognizes as part of Roper's private army from years back. So he's like, okay, well, what's this guy doing here? And then he goes to his boss, Rex Mayhew. He goes to his house, and of course, Rex is having his 60th birthday party. And while Jonathan's at the house, he looks and he sees that Rex is talking to a young woman. And the young woman, by the way, is the one that's on Tom Hiddleston's to the right of Tom Hiddleston. And of course, Jonathan's like, oh, who's this woman? And he tells Rex about the guy that he saw, and Rex is like, "Oh, don't worry about it. That's the past. Got to let it go. All that." And but of course, Jonathan can't let it go. So he watches. So he starts surveilling the guy more. They start following him around, and he's talking to this like middleman, and during the conversation, the guy mentions that his boss is the quote unquote true heir to Richard, or a true disciple of Richard Roper. And as soon as Jonathan hears that, he's like, okay, I can't just ignore this. And as the episode progresses, he learns that that MI6 is actually working with this new guy who's trying to take over, basically take Phil Roper's spot, and that's the guy to the left of Tom Hiddleston, and his name is uh, Eduardo. I'm trying to remember his name. His full name is Eduardo, but everyone calls him Teddy. And it's sort of like with Richard Roper, where his name is Richard, but everyone calls him Dickie. His friends call him Dickie, and
Except that that Dickie is actually short for Richard. I don't know where you get Teddy out of Eduardo.
yeah, I don't know either. Uh, Teddy Kennedy, his name was Edward Kennedy, and they called him Teddy. I don't.
Huh, I guess that
Yeah,
is an acceptable nickname. Huh.
yeah,
Learned
yeah,
something new today.
yeah. Teddy DeSantis, and so now Jonathan's like going all in with this, and of course he's keeping his team in the dark because like there's only like so much he can tell them. So they track the bad guy to a hotel in Spain, Catalonia, I think, Catalonia, Spain, and they track him to this hotel, and then Teddy knows that his guy is being followed, and basically the proverbial excrement hits the fan. Jonathan's all but two of Jonathan's team members are killed. Jonathan himself is almost blown up, and so now this then leads Jonathan basically to have him go underground, and he infiltrates Teddy DeSantis's organization, much in the same way that he did with Roper. And the other part of it too is the woman that's on the image. Her name was Roxana, and she was a Colombian, but she grew up in America. She lives in Miami, so she's got this perfect American accent. She met with Jonathan's boss Rex because she was seeing a lot of irregularities because she's working with this like shipping company with Teddy, and she's seeing these irregularities, and so she goes to Rex to tell him, and then Rex gets killed, and is made to look like a suicide, so that just also further motivated Jonathan. That happened before his team gets killed. There's a lot of stuff going on in that first episode. I mean, each episode, by the way, is an hour long, and there's 6 episodes, so it's a 6-hour movie basically.
Okay.
So then Jonathan goes off to Colombia and infiltrates Teddy's organization and trying to find out what's going on. By the way, from here on, I'm going to be giving away spoilers. So if you don't always want to be spoiled and you want to watch the show, click off of it for now or mute or do whatever. But we find out that Teddy or Jonathan figures it out that Teddy is actually Richard Roper's illegitimate son. And you find that out that Richard Roper was having an affair with a married woman and got her pregnant. And so she gave him up, sent him away to an orphanage. But Roper would visit him occasionally. And not only that, but Roper was actually still alive, and he faked his death, and he basically blackmailed, or he threatened Angela, and threatened her family that she needed to go along with him being dead, and say that when she looked at his body that, oh yeah, he's dead, because so that he could get out. And so then he's in Colombia, and we find out that he's shipping in a bunch of with the help from MI6. He's shipping in a bunch of weapons into Colombia because he's funding this paramilitary group that's staging a coup. And the big part of that coup is that he's also got an EMP that he's going to set off. So now Jonathan has to obviously prevent all of that from happening, and there's a little bit of there's a I don't want to say a love triangle, but like Jonathan like gets, not only is he like attracted to Roxana, but there's also something going on with him and Teddy. There's a little
Huh.
yeah. Teddy is obviously bisexual. Um so yeah, there's something going on there. But yeah, I won't give away spoilers for how the season ends, but suffice to say, I hope they do another season, and I hope I don't have to wait another 10 years for it.
Yeah,
'Cause,
was it actually 10 years?
well, let me check real quick. Let's see. Yeah, 10 years. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, 2016. Um, but yeah, because the ending, well, to borrow Marvel reference because of Tom Hiddleston, it's like Avengers Infinity War. That's how the ending felt. Um, so, but yeah, I mean, it's not as good as the first season. I thought the first season had more intrigue and it had better characters. Um, I mean, and I thought the twist of having Hugh Laurie coming back was a little sketchy. And there's some other stuff in there too that happens that's a little sketchy. Um, Again, I don't want to give away too much, but yeah, but overall, it's still a decent watch. There might be a few moments here and there you might be a little uncomfortable, uh, but I will say it's worth a watch, especially if you enjoyed the first season, just to see what happens with Jonathan and and Richard Roper and all that. But, yeah,
So it manages to have a lot of balls in the air at the same time, but also make you care about the characters.
yeah, yeah, oh yeah,
That can be hard to pull off.
yeah. That can be, yeah.
I,
It's
I,
yeah.
I forget which service is this on again?
Amazon Prime.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I cannot think for the life of me of what a proper switch over to this would be. So, the Uma Musume movie, Birth of a New Era. So,
Mhm.
this hit theaters last weekend, and my buddy and I, who have been playing the game and watching the other series together, we weren't there opening night, but we were there close to opening night. Um,
Mm.
for those who aren't aware, Uma Musume Pretty Derby has maybe the strangest concept for a show I've ever heard. Um, although it's not like it's the only Japanese media that does this, because you got things like Girls Frontline and Ken Coley or whatnot that just
Yeah.
personify things. But basically, they adapt the history of Japanese racehorses, but as high school girls, and like they treat the contest as a sort of like a track meet.
Mm.
So what it really just functions as is a high-end sports anime. This particular one is a dramatization of the 2001 racing season, which so this came out in Japan a couple years back, so it's new to us, but it's like from 2024 originally.
Yeah.
Um, there's enough going on here that I'm taking a moment to collect my thoughts of how I want to go into it.
Yeah.
Because it's like I don't want to go into, because there are so many references. Like, one thing about this series uh, is that it loves to layer in jokes and references. Like in this one, a character retires from racing, and they have sort of a man on the street interview where you have characters who are, how could she retire? And one of them, who seemed the most concerned, is a character who, with the actual racehorse, it was that character's daughter. So it's like, but most of those references wouldn't mean anything to anybody, which is actually going to be a criticism I levy at the movie in a minute, because some people have been saying it's a good way to get into the franchise. I think I disagree with that, but I'll get into why in a minute. So the actual story is this is about the career of a horse girl named Jungle Bucket. Did I say Jungle Bucket? Damn it, that was the meme name. Jungle Pocket. Jungle Pocket. I might say Jungle Bucket accidentally because I've been quoting this one meme with my buddies for months now. That refers to her as Jungle Bucket. And so if I slip up again, I apologize. Anyways, Jungle Pocket. So Jungle Pocket is a brash young racer, kind of tomboyish, but you know how in Japanese there's a particular way of talking, like the bakayaro, like that sort of like rough way of speaking that you can just hear.
Yeah.
Like she is just that is how she is all the time. And it starts off with her seeing a race by a Uma who had become her idol named Fuji Kaseki, and Fuji wins her opening or the race that Jungle was watching very easily, and Jungle had been doing like free racing, they were calling it, which they don't really define, which I'm just going to interpret as she might have been like a regional racer, or the horse might have done some regional races before moving on to the big leagues. And she says, I want to be a racer like that. So we get this montage where she ends up going to the same school as Fuji Kaseki, ends up being trained by her trainer, who's an old man who had retired but came out of retirement to teach Pocket. And you meet Pocket's, okay, Dan Soufflame over here, and this group of NPCs over here, those you could call Pocket's friends. What the movie is really about, outside of it being a dramatic retelling of this racing season, is everybody is basically racing against themselves in one way or another. This over here is Agnes Tachyon, who in real life horse racing was known as the Phantom Triple Crown winner, because the actual horse went out there, ran 4 races, won 4 races, including the first leg of the Japanese Classic Triple Crown, so like the equivalent of like the Belmont Stakes or whatnot. But due to an injury, suddenly retired. And in real life, this was like one of the great what ifs of Japanese horse racing. In the movie, well, Jungle Pocket got completely smoked when she went in being completely cocky and arrogant about how easily she was going to beat Agnes Tachyon over here.
Yeah.
Gets smoked. And then she basically, for the rest of the movie, has to wrestle with the idea that, if Tachyon was here, maybe Tachyon would win. And like, does that mean that my victories don't matter? So it's just that type of lack of self-confidence. So it's like Tachyon is racing against her own health. Jungle Pocket is racing against her own self-doubt about what racing without being able to actually beat Tachyon was like. Now I'll get into one of the criticisms here. There are lots of references, and I think that most of them would just be, oh, I played the game, or I've seen other anime. I know about this lore. That's just a fun little reference. So this character here is called Manhattan Cafe. In the actual game, Manhattan Cafe's storyline is an actual ghost story, because she has an imaginary friend who is supposed to represent this one horse they couldn't get the rights for, called Sunday Silence.
Oh.
Who basically looks like a ghostly outline of Manhattan Cafe herself. And what Manhattan Cafe is driven by is the desire to catch up to her imaginary friend, who always is just like tantalizingly out of reach when she's racing,
Uh,
which just adds more to the theme of racing against yourself.
mm,
The problem is that the word ghost does not appear once in this movie. They never actually say what Manhattan Cafe's friend is. Agnes Tachyon seems to know what it is because these two are roommates, and she makes reference to, "Oh, are you still trying to chase your friend?"
no.
And there's just no there's just no like context whatsoever. I was reading people's comments, and one guy had watched the movie with his wife and her friend, and he overheard them in the bathroom trying to figure out who her friend was.
Oh,
And it didn't even occur to them, because there's so much trippy imagery going on in this movie, and I'll get to that in a moment. Like, it didn't even occur to them that, oh, it's some sort of ghostly apparition, imaginary friend thing. They were figuring, oh, these two are studying Tiamat O here, who kind of serves as the final boss of the movie. Like, oh, that's who they mean by their friend. They're being sarcastic, and it's just like, these are presumably media literate people who watched this movie and had no idea who the friend was supposed to be.
yeah.
There are a few details like that, although some of it I think is like you can chalk some of it up to subtlety. Like
Mm,
when Agnes Tachyon steps down from racing, it's not like she says, "I'm stepping down from racing due to an injury," but all the context clues would tell you.
mm,
That's also part of what bothers Jungle Pocket so much, is that, here her great rival who smoked her the time they raced. Uh, Not only did she suddenly retire out of the blue, she refused to tell me why.
uh,
So now, what I will say is that it is a satisfying enough journey following Jungle Pocket. She's like a little bit of a generic hero type, but you feel for her through her journey. And while I have some criticism about their vagueness on some details, I think that if you just accept that you won't know who Manhattan Cafe's friend is, except I just told you, uh, I think you'll be able to follow what's going on. Now, from a production standpoint, this is arguably the best animated thing in this franchise, which, given how good Cinderella Grey looks over on Amazon, is saying something. They went insane with the race scenes. So many visual pyrotechnics, so many bright colors. The soundtrack is insane. Like, the songs are these uh, that like most of the music is just this like soundscape that just blends together with the weird racing visuals. Um, there's a racing anime that I've seen bits of called Red Shift, and that's the closest I can think of to it. It just communicates so well momentum and speed, and just like it's expressive. It isn't like a lot of characters aren't on model necessarily during the races, but they do such weird close-ups, uh, like fisheye lens shots and stretching and explosions of color to represent movement. And I can't do it justice just with words, but
yeah.
it's almost, the movie is almost worth watching just if you like animation in general and you want to see somebody going crazy with it.
So, would those scenes work well for someone who maybe be consuming some illicit substances?
As somebody who's ever consumed such a substance, I'm going to guess yes. I wouldn't have thought about seeing this movie high. You might have a bad high if you watch some of this movie high. There are some weird bits.
Yeah.
Um, then one bit of trivia I picked up about this movie: the voice actors for Jungle Pocket have been trying to get into Uma Musume for a bit, because it's a cast of literally hundreds at this point, so they have a lot of
Mm,
voice actresses on hold, and like every time a character comes up, it's seen as a steady paycheck, right?
yeah.
So she finally gets in as this Jungle Pocket character, And they go, great. Now we'll start recording for the movie in a couple of weeks. And she goes, wait, movie? Like she had no idea that she was going to basically be the star of the first movie that they ever made, as I recall the story.
Oh wow.
But she does a great job. Just bouncing between the characters' mix uh, of ego and moments of vulnerability.
Hmm.
My only complaint actually is with the last is actually with this character up here, Tiamat O, who is a personal favorite of mine, and I had seen some people make some music videos out of what I thought were highlight reels of her appearances in the movie, but it turned out it was all of her scenes in the movie.
Oh.
Now, what's there is great, but still, I was kind of hoping for a bit more, like in the 4-episode Road to the Top OVA that's free over on YouTube. Speaking of free things,
Yeah.
but yeah, overall, like I think it could be a little opaque to somebody who didn't know the series. Definitely, like there's some anime that you can show to somebody who doesn't actually like anime.
Hmm.
This I would not think would be one of them. I think if you're trying to get somebody to watch this, they'd have to already like anime to an extent and just be willing to roll with a weird premise.
Yeah.
But it's gotten some praise. I know that the movie got like it was really enjoyed by the guy who did Your Name. I can't remember the name of that director, but and I could definitely see why an animation director would appreciate this, because just on a production level, it's insane. Like
Yeah.
there are some scenes, like a lot of the lesser scenes, they're more interested in being expressive than being on model. So you get some weird, like, you know how in 1930s American cartoons characters, it's like they didn't have skeletons. You get some of that sometimes here,
Oh yeah.
just for some of the expressive-ness.
Yeah.
But that's enough weebing out over this. Like I said, it's a fine addition to the franchise. I don't think it's my favorite piece of media from the franchise, but it was definitely a worthwhile experience.
Yeah.
And if you're interested, it's not being shown all over the states. It's like it was in 600 theaters last weekend, but they did extend the initial release of it. If you go to Fandango, you can find movie times up through the 11th. So
Yeah.
you have your chance still.
Yeah. Cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, as part of the no transition night, here's something I've been meaning to cross off my bucket list.
The bucket list.
The bucket list.
Yeah. 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 Same for me. This is a movie that I've been meaning to watch for many, many years. In fact, I tried to watch it when in the old days of Netflix, when they were still doing mail-in DVDs. It sat on my coffee table for about a month, and I just said, forget it. Just send it back. But finally just decided, okay, well, let's let's take the plunge and watch this movie.
Give it a go.
Give it a go. Yeah. So for those of you who might not know the plot of the movie, basically, it's a very basic plot. I mean, you've got the movie starts off where we meet Morgan Freeman's character Carter. He's a car mechanic with a very vast encyclopedia of knowledge,
or at least of trivia.
or at least trivia. Yeah. And although I should mention real quick, it does start off with his narrating some of the story.
Yep, take a shot if you're playing Morgan Freeman movie trope bingo.
Yes. Yeah, and so he's, we meet him. He's a car mechanic, and then he gets a phone call at work from his wife, and it's obviously very bad news. I'm assuming it's lung cancer because he's smoking a cigarette and then he stops smoking it. And then we meet Jack Nicholson's character, Edward, who is very eccentric billionaire who owns a private medical company and has a bunch of hospitals. And he's in this county meeting pitching his idea for the hospital. And in the midst of it, he coughs blood. And so then we flash forward to the two of them. Edward and Carter are sharing a hospital room. Of course, Edward's not happy about it because he's like, well, why do I have to share a hospital? Even though it's his
In the
hospital.
previous scene.
Yeah. Yeah. In the previous scene, he makes it very clear in this hospital, it's 2 beds per room. It is a hospital, not a health spa.
Right. That's like no exceptions. Well, it turns out that even he can't make an exception for it.
Right. Yeah. And so we see the two of them going through their treatments, and then they slowly start building up a friendship, and but then they both get the impending the news that nobody wants to hear, which is that they only have like 6 months, maybe a year to live.
Right. And this is after a very long battle with like where the two of them are dealing with chemotherapy and other
Surgery.
treatments that
Yeah.
just, yeah. So Jack Nicholson proposes, rather than just sitting around and waiting to die while a bunch of your family make you sad, let's go out and see the world.
Right. Yeah. Because he sees Morgan Freeman, making a bucket list. Because it was something that he picked up when he was in college from a philosopher. They basically things that you want to do before you kick the bucket. And so Nicholson says, well, let's go out and see the world. And so that's they write out all this different stuff that they want to do, and the first thing they do is they go skydiving, which Morgan Freeman's like, I don't want to do this.
Yeah. Now, my thought as I was watching this thing was that you know how you can not see a movie and you could probably guess the beats and like what the movie would be about.
Yeah.
In the long run. That's basically how I felt about this movie the whole way through. It's like it's very predictable, but it's definitely elevated by the quality of the leads.
Oh yeah. Because you got like Morgan Freeman, who's his wife is of course very worried about him because he's like she's like you're going off on all these adventures. You're going to France and then they go to Egypt and India and all these places, and you've only got a few months to live, and why aren't you spending it with your family, that kind of thing. And then you find out about Nicholson, who he's been married 4 times, and then you find out he has a daughter that he's estranged from, and you learn more about the circumstances of that.
Like stuff you could definitely like if you fed this premise to the Chat GPT, it might come up with these beats.
Right. Yeah. And of course there's another character in there, Nicholson's assistant, played by Sean Hayes, who most people remember from Will and Grace. He played, his name is Nicholson calls him Thomas, even though his name is actually Matthew, but he calls him Thomas because Matthew is too biblical.
Yeah.
By the way, for those of you who don't know, one of the early disciples of Christ, his name was Thomas.
Yeah. In my opinion, Jack Nicholson's character is not the smartest. He's not the sharpest knife in the crayon drawer.
No.
in a lot of ways.
No, yeah. But yeah, the movie does follow some very predictable plot beats, as they're going off on their on this last little adventure of their lives. the one part of the movie I didn't like, and I don't know like how it fit, how they did it works in there, was so there's a scene where, okay, so one of the things they try to do is they go to the Himalayas,
Hmm.
and they weren't going to Everest, were they? Or were they
I
trying to go
forget.
there?
I forget if it was Everest or just another high mountain up there.
Yeah, and but then they couldn't go up there because of the weather, and so then they end up going to Hong Kong, and there's a scene where Morgan Freeman's sitting in the bar, and he's talking about all the mountains and the Himalayas with the bartender, and then this young British woman sits down next to him, and they start chatting and everything, and she invites him up to her hotel room, and of course Morgan Freeman, declines because he's happily married. And
Happily married and a strong Christian, as far as we can tell.
oh yeah, 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 and so then he goes to back to the room with Nicholson. He's like, nah, I want to go home, and he the implication is that like Nicholson was the one who set it up. And it's like,
Right. Like she was like a call girl or something.
yeah, yeah, and it's like, okay, like why?
It's like they needed a reason to cut the vacation short for runtime.
Yeah, yeah, it was very odd. Yeah. But yeah, and of course, there's a lot of dramatic moments, of course, at the end of the trip, because Morgan Freeman tries to get Nicholson to reconcile with his daughter, and then and and of course the Freeman's health starts to take a turn, and
Right. We can all kind of see where this is going.
mhm. Okay,
Uh, there is I'm just gonna say, like, we're getting some mild spoilers.
yeah,
Uh, the fact that Freeman is the one narrating the movie is kind of odd because he was the
yeah,
first to die.
yeah, yeah. Seemed a little weird. Yeah,
A little metaphysical, I guess.
yeah, yeah.
Um, I can see why this was well received at the time, and it's also the type of movie where I think it is like a classic four quadrant where there really wouldn't be anybody who couldn't get something out of this movie.
No, I think you're right. Yeah.
Maybe very small kids wouldn't like it or couldn't grasp it, but it is like a reasonable enough meditation on mortality.
Oh, it is. Yeah, and I would say people over the age, like probably people our age and older, would definitely have a more of an appreciation for it than say like people in their 20s and 30s.
Yeah, yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah.
Um, I hadn't realized this was a Rob Reiner film.
Yeah, I didn't either until I saw the credits.
Yep. Is it wrong that I usually think of him as Ron Howard as being kind of interchangeable as far as directors go? Like, where a lot of the stuff they make doesn't necessarily have a super strong flavor.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah,
And of course, you got things like The Princess Bride, but that's like
yeah.
an outlier.
Well, yeah. Well, he also had like he also did like When Harry Met Sally, and
And that one's also my bucket list.
yeah.
But Tish.
Um, Yeah, well, no, he did quite a lot of
Hey,
movie. He did like a Few Good Men.
okay, maybe you know what, I'll just back off. That exposes my own ignorance of his oeuvre.
Uh, Spinal Tap.
So wait, that
Spi-
was okay.
yeah, yeah,
You know what?
Spinal Tap was his. Yeah.
I thought that Spinal Tap was okay. Never mind.
Oh, did you think it was Christopher Guest?
I don't know who I thought it was. I just didn't realize it was Meathead.
No, no, yeah. Well, yeah, he plays he plays the documentarian who's like following him around and interviewing him. And
Huh.
he's the one who says to Christopher Guest, like, well, why don't you just make 10 the highest number and make it louder? And this goes to 11.
Well, okay then. You know what? I stand corrected.
Hmm.
Um.
You're right.
So what was? It was before I made a mild fool of myself. Um,
It's okay.
like I said, like this movie feels a little generic, like anybody could have made it.
Yeah,
But and I think the reason that it was well received was because the quality of the actors in it.
yeah,
Because you put Morgan Freeman and Jack Nicholson together, and there is an immediate chemistry and an immediate contrast in their personalities and outlooks
yeah.
that is interesting to watch play out.
Yeah, and I have a hard time thinking of other actors that could have done this movie and done it just as well. Um,
Yeah, like to be the right age to actually pull it off.
yeah, yeah, maybe Paul Newman or Robert Redford if they had done it like
Yeah,
yeah,
like yeah, 10 to 15 years before this actually came out.
right, yeah. um,
Yeah, I could see them contrasting well enough.
yeah. Um, but no, yeah, I would say yeah, the very strong acting performances. It's a it's a it's a sentimental movie. Um,
Hmm.
and I will say if there's one thing Rob Reiner is good at, it's sentiment. Um, uh, but yeah, the story is yeah, it is not like it's not the most wholly original. And yeah, it's somewhat predictable, but it's good for what it is.
It's a fine little movie. It isn't life changing or anything, but you aren't going to feel like your time was wasted.
Right. Yeah. And it's only like a little over an hour and a half, so it's not.
Yep. It's I'll put this in the category of they don't make them like they used to, and if there were 10 movies of this quality in this runtime with two heavy hitting actors that came out every year on top of what they released right now, we'd be better off.
Yeah, oh, yeah. I would agree with that. Yeah. Um, but yeah, this movie is currently on Netflix. Well, I think we've said all we need to say for tonight.
Agreed.
Well, thank you everybody for tuning in. We appreciate it as always. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, ring the bell, buy some books. DB's new book, Confessions of the Magpie Wizard, Book 6, is now available. And Guardian Angel Part 2 will be coming to Kickstarter on the 26th. So keep an eye out for that. Links for both of those are in the description down below. And we'll see you next week. Night, everybody.
Good night.